10864. Station's your final time cue will be with 15 seconds until airtime. Mark, 15 seconds until airtime.
Oregon is going to the Final Four.
The following is a Learfield presentation of the Oregon Sports Network.
And Oregon is going to play in the national championship game.
This is Ducks football.
We got to elevate and make our teaching standards elite.
Got him deep. He's open. He's got it. He's gone. It is picked up. Intercepted. Oregon with the ball.
There can't be any type of fading. It doesn't work that way.
20, 50. He's going to score. 10. Touchdown, Oregon.
We invest a lot of time in that, and we expect that to pay off in a big-time way.
Oregon repeats as the Pac-12 champion.
This is the Oregon Football Coaches Show on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield. Tonight's broadcast is brought to you by Country Financial Insurance. Protect what matters. And by Pepsi and Bigfoot Beverages. Go Ducks. Drink Pepsi. Now, let's talk Oregon Ducks football. Alongside Mike Jorgensen and Joey Mack, here's the voice of the Ducks, Jerry Allen.
Thank you and welcome to the show. It's good to be with you. Thank you. Is that for me, for us, or for the fact that we just finished some great pizza? Yeah, I think that's what it's all about.
Good food.
Jerry Jorge and Joey Mack, and it's
You
all
don't
about.
know Jerry's motivation
Hey,
at all
always.
times.
That's why I come to the Wednesday night shows, because I know you're going to feed me.
That might be the truest statement I've ever heard.
Otherwise,
from
I'd
Jerry.
zoom it from home. I mean, you know, my pajamas, whatever. Hey, how about 7-1, 4-1? Nice win last week. Big rivalry game coming up. College football playoffs make their first announcement, and everybody's excited about that, which is okay. You know, fans can be excited, media can talk about it, but the reality is, doesn't mean a thing yet. It really doesn't.
Oh, ton of football left.
Oh,
and,
lots,
and,
yeah.
and it all starts this weekend with one game, right?
Huge game.
And up in Seattle with the Huskies. I mean, all you got to say is Huskies, and it gets the bristles up on your neck. And this team, as they prepare for it, I can't wait to go up to Seattle and take on the Huskies.
Seeing purple practice jerseys at Oregon football practice the last couple days, that's what always kind of gets me going like, oh, man, this is Husky week. It's weird seeing purple on the practice fields when the Ducks are going through, and scout teams, you know, that's why they do it. But
Yep, all teams
hey,
do.
I'll tell you, I mean, there has never been a better reason to have the 1-0 process like Coach Cristobal always talks about, because, one, it's rivalry week. The guys are already getting questions about that. Fans are talking about it. And then you get the college football playoff rankings for the first time. And, you know, that's why you embrace that 1-0 mentality, right? I mean, that's why the Ducks talk so much about that 1-0 process and wanting to block out the outside noise, because at the end of the day, no one remembers who the number 1, number 2, number 3, and number 4 teams are in the first college football playoff rankings. They remember who they are at the end of the season, and that's what the Ducks are striving for.
Yeah, and it's okay for everybody to be excited about it, you know, and live in the moment.
Sure.
You're Duck fans, you've earned that, and it's okay to feel like that and be excited about that. But hopefully you learn a little bit from this football team and from their head coach in that they don't live in that. And you don't have to go very far if you work around here to talk to a player or one of the coaches and realize that they're not focusing on college football playoffs. They're not focusing on whoever we play next week. We're not. I mean, it's
the process.
It's Tuesday.
Right?
It's Wednesday. Thursday we get on a plane, fly. We got to play a game on Saturday, and then we'll start and do it all over again. They really do. I mean, I don't know as a young man if I would have been able to have been that disciplined. I really don't.
Yeah, I mean, it is part of the process that's made these guys so successful week after week, 1 week at a time. And it's the way that they treat it. You know, us fans, us announcers, anybody else that is at the games or is going to be traveling to Seattle or sitting at home watching on TV can get caught up and wrapped up in all the things Ducks and Huskies.
Oh,
but
yeah.
at the end of the day, it's a 1 week process at a time, and these guys do such a great job of keeping that focus there.
And we're going to hear from those guys, not just us saying this, right? Like, we are going to hear from the players like Kayvon Thibodeau, Verone McKinley, Anthony Brown, Travis Dye, all those guys. We're talking about that this week. We have that for you coming up a little later on. And the good news is the Ducks also getting a little bit healthier. We'll talk about that. And how about the fourth quarter conditioning program?
Oh, how about the conditioning program, just period?
I think that if I could, before we actually get to the star of the show today,
Yeah.
I thought that the theme of Duck Insider today should be fours. Ducks are ranked number 4 in the college football playoff
Yep.
rankings. And, of course, the fourth quarter strength conditioning program, the Ducks put their 4s up in every practice when they talk about the fourth quarter. I thought that the theme of the day should be fours, guys. I'm just throwing that out there. You do what you will with that, Jerry.
Well, we'll take it and run with it. That's easy. Guy who probably knows a lot more about it is going to join us in a few minutes. He is the Strength and Conditioning Coordinator, Aaron Feld. I'm excited to have the mustache join us tonight on the show. You got to say that. He's going to get up here and punch me one of these nights. But he is our guest. He is our guest coming up. A lot to talk about going back through the last year or two, what's going on now, and not just about strength and conditioning of a football team or an athlete. I got a couple of questions about him just in general for adults, for seniors, for people who want to be in good shape too, because he knows.
Better mustache, Raleigh Fingers or Aaron Feld?
Oh, Aaron Feld.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, well, I mean,
they're comparable, but based on the fact that he's in here right now?
That's right.
That's
right.
Okay.
That's right.
Okay, let's get our first break in for our Country Financial Studios. It's our Pepsi Coaches Spotlight coming up next here on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
After 2 years of construction, my wife and I finally moved into our dream home. So when a bathtub fixture broke, causing major water damage, I was glad we had the home insurance protection we needed. How do you know your home is protected? Talk to a Country Financial rep like me, Nick Simon. We can help you understand your options and select coverages to meet your needs. Then if something happens to your home, you won't have any surprises. Need the right coverage for your home but not sure where to start? Visit TakeSimpleSteps.com or contact a local Country representative.
Here's how Duck fans take flight with OCCU. Start with a Lucky Duck savings account. Move up to a Duck debit card with free checking. Then graduate to a Duck credit card. OCCU makes your financial journey easier with fewer fees, higher rates on savings, and lower rates on loans. Discover the OCCU difference at myoccu.org/Go Ducks.
Well, Bob, I don't like Hunger's chances here, not against this feast of an IHOP defensive line.
That's right, Jim. They got pancakes, sausage, bacon, hash browns, and even scrambled eggs.
Heck of a lineup, Bob. They've been slaying Hunger in the backfield this whole season. Makes you wonder how Hunger finds the courage to get back out there.
Empty tummy, 42 pancakes. The blitz is on, and Hunger is demolished once again.
It never stood a chance, Bob.
Tackle your hunger with IHOP's Game Day Family Feasts.
You're listening to the Oregon Football Coaches Show on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
Watch out! You got me!
The galaxy is safe once again.
In the pretend universe, kids play with pretend guns. In the real world, it's up to us to make sure they don't get their hands on a real gun. If you have a gun in the house, keep it locked, unloaded, and stored separately from ammunition. Safe gun storage saves lives. Learn how to make your home safer at endfamilyfire.org. That's endfamilyfire.org. Brought to you by End Family Fire, Brady, and the Ad Council.
Uh-oh, Brad's buzzed.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, he's starting with the woots. And now a speech.
I just want to say that friendship is about heart and brain. Who's with me?
Good thing is, he knows when he's buzzed.
And my brain is saying, when it's time to go home, somebody call me a ride.
Love that guy.
Me too.
Know your buzzed warning signs? Call for a ride when it's time to go home. Buzz driving is drunk driving. A message from NHTSA and the Ad Council.
Welcome back to the show. It is my honor. My distinct pleasure. Okay, I'm not going to go too far with this. Aaron Feld, Strength and Conditioning Coordinator, our guest here. Looking forward to this all season long. We finally got you here. Thanks for taking some time. And time is a valuable commodity for you, for coaches, for what you do. And I guess I'm going to start with that, and that is, have you ever put a number of hours a week that you is an average for you? I mean, early to late.
I mean, not really. It depends on the day. And the other thing is, like, you know, the hours that I work pale in comparison to some of the hours that some of these other coaches work. You know, Coach Cristobal, nobody works more hours than him. And so I always tell people all the time, like, my job's more physical. The hours may be a little bit less. I don't stay up until midnight watching film, opponent breakdown.
Right.
But, you know, especially in the off season, especially, running around in practice the way we do, it's more physical. So it's rare that I don't get 7 hours of sleep. well, I mean, I've got a newborn at home, but that's a whole different story. But, you know, under normal circumstances, where I don't get 7 hours of sleep, there's no way some of these other coaches are sleeping 7 hours.
Yeah, gotcha.
Yeah, talk about dad. I mean, not only a husband, now Papa, right?
Shoot.
That's pretty cool stuff.
It is, and you know what the craziest part? Like, prepared does not equal ready. You know, like my wife is a rock star. Man, we were prepared. We had all the stuff and the things that we needed. You know, it's like, where's this, where's that? We had it, but it's like knowing what you actually need and how to use it. Man, that's a whole different ball game. There's no playbook for that.
Little buck.
Yeah.
I love that, Coach. In a nutshell, and I say coach, you're actually a strength and conditioning coordinator is what you do. But in a nutshell, what is it that you do? I mean, people see you as a strength and conditioning coach. So you teach guys how to lift and you have them run in place. But what do you do?
I would say the biggest thing that we do, and you got, I say we because I got a staff. I got the best strength staff in the country. It's not even close. You know, what we do is we prepare these athletes mentally and physically for the rigors of football, and that includes the physical part of it on the field, the mental part of it, the emotional part of it, as far as, you know, what they deal with outside of football, on campus, in the social media. We discuss those things. We have those conversations. You know, we get to know these dudes intimately. You know, there's 120 players on the team, so yeah, I don't have a best friend relationship with 120 guys, but that's why there's a full staff. You know, there's guys that I'm closer with, and there's a respect thing. You know, some guys don't want to be, you know, super one-on-one tight with me. It's a business transaction. You know, they want the information and the coaching that I can give them, and you know, and some guys want to have a more personal relationship. And as a coach, you have to respect that. If you expect yourself to have a great relationship and one-on-one rapport and banter with 120 guys, I mean, there's no way to do that. And again, we have a staff. 5 full-time strength coaches that are just phenomenal. Right. You know, so there's not a single guy on the team that doesn't have somebody, some coach on the staff that they can get close to.
You mentioned 120 guys. Obviously, I mean, that's a lot of players that you guys have to work with and get the pleasure to work with. I know that you take a lot of pleasure in that. But every year, 20, 25, maybe 30 new guys coming in. High school seniors the year before, now college freshmen. What's the biggest adjustment that you see that those guys have to make going from high school now all of a sudden into college? And in what you do in particular?
Physically, no one's is as in good a shape as they think they are. No one's as strong as they think they are, except for maybe Logan Sagapulo. You know, you're the best guy at your school. You're the best guy at your level of football, and it's hard physically to adjust to other people being faster, stronger, better than you physically because you're dominant at the high school level. I mean, heck, I was trash at football, and I was still dominant at the level of high school that I played. You know what I'm saying? So, like, these guys are elite-level talent, and they come into a team full of elite-level talent that's also developed for 2, 3, 4 years. And then mentally coming into, you know, you think you put a lot of work into sports in high school. You think you put a lot into your craft in high school, and then all of a sudden it's like, boom, your physical work doubles immediately. And then now you've got the mental side. You're studying the playbook, and it's not just, hey, here's the plays, we're going to go over them. It's like, oh, hey, you got to take this home and spend time on it at home because we're moving on tomorrow, and you need to know this. And so, like, that's a huge adjustment and a huge shock to these guys. I mean, our 7-on-7s, our player-led PLPs, player-led practices, after conditioning in the summers, I mean, they resemble, you know, practices, you know, because our players, our leaders know what practice is supposed to look like. They know what the rotation between the 1s and 2s is supposed to look like. You know, we stand off to the side and make sure, you know, for injury, safety related purposes or whatever. And I don't know anything about football anyway, from a X's and O's standpoint. So, you know, we're out there, you know, I get to sit back and watch, and it feels like I'm out at practice. And it's because the leaders, they're calling plays, they're making adjustments, they're running like Johnny Johnson's running over there to line up, push another receiver wider because he's not lined up properly, and it's phenomenal. And they're not used to that. You know, Coach Stubb, before he left, he was out at we had one of those in Autzen, and you know, I was the only coach out there. My staff was out, you know, putting some stuff away or whatever, and again, just out there eyeing for safety. And we were talking about, he's talking about practice. I was like, Coach, this ain't a practice. And he's like, what do you mean? I was like, look around. You see a football coach out here? and it just blew his mind. And that's cool to me, and that's what the kids are not prepared for. You can't, they're not prepared for the level of investment and knowledge that the other players on their team have.
Big part of your job, huge part of your job, is giving these kids, each one, a program to follow. I mean, they don't just come in, see the machines, and say, I want to do this, this, and this. You actually have to put together kind of a practice. I mean, they have practice sessions out on the field, but do you have to put together a program for them in the weight room?
Well, yeah. So programming is like the most comprehensive, complicated part of what we do. It's actually I always say it's 10%. Coaching workouts and doing the workouts is 10% because the rest of it's programming. The rest of it's developing systems and studying and learning. So programming is really in depth and it's a comprehensive program. It's not just bigger, stronger, faster. It's durability. It's looking for potential issues. Hamstrings is a big issue amongst college football. So that's one of our big areas of emphasis, right? And then once you get past the hamstring issues, it turns into groin. It turns into hip flexor. So there's a lot of there's a process to everything. So comprehensive programs, but it's not as individualized as a lot of people would think because bigger, stronger, faster makes you better at every position, right? Now, within that, there is some sports specificity where you have receivers doing something different than DBs doing different than linebackers.
It's a fundamental movement, right?
Absolutely.
I mean, it's a performance you guys have.
But at the end of the day, rate of force development, how fast you can create force, how much force you can produce, and how to project that in the right direction so that you're getting the movement. If I'm trying to move laterally, if I'm trying to move forward, teaching them how to practically apply the strength and power that they develop. That's everything. So we don't have max boards. We don't we're not out there seeing how much we can squat, how much we can bench press. Look, you're not going to squat more than Coach Baggett. You're not going to deadlift more than Coach Eaton. At one point, you weren't going to deadlift more than me. It's just not going to happen. So why are we trying to impress people with the weight on a bar? Why don't we impress people about how we play football? And that's the mentality that we teach these guys and tell them one thing that I want them to always know is we're never going to waste a second of your time in here. I don't go to the strength coach conference every year and talk about how many guys I have that bench press 500 or squat 600. It doesn't matter. What matters is the quality of work they put on the field.
Sounds like there is a tremendous amount of science involved in what you do. I mean, the science of the body. You have to understand it, you have to know it, and you have to keep up with it.
Absolutely.
As you get ready for the season, do things change in your room or in your area from spring to summer and then to fall when the season actually starts?
Dramatically. So we train in 3 phases. We're a quarter school, so we have 3 phases. Phase 1 leads up to spring ball. Phase 2 is after spring ball before summer break, and then after summer break we come back in phase 3. The second half of phase 1 is always preparing for football, for spring ball, and phase 3 is always preparing for fall camp. But within those phases, you have hypertrophy, which is growth, hypertrophy, strength, and then power. And it's way more complicated than that, but those are your keys, right? Phase 2 centers mostly around strength because it's after football and it's a significant distance away from the next football, right? So all of the kickers, all of the quarterbacks can do pretty much the same thing everybody else is doing. But as we start getting into phase 3, leading into fall camp, we have to start doing some things different. Quarterbacks are going to start throwing a lot more. We have to protect their shoulders, watch their pec, their biceps tendon, all those things. And so based on the phase that we're in, it is going to dictate the level of intensity, the volume, and the duration of our training. As we get closer to football, the weight room training sessions get smaller and the field training sessions get bigger, and so now we're getting them ready for the actual sports that they're going to play.
So much to it.
It is. It's amazing.
It's like you when you played, right?
Yeah, right. Yeah. Where's the training table? That's what I was looking for. So. Okay, maybe not.
All right. I want to jump to a year ago, or the last 18 months, almost 2 years now.
Absolutely.
When COVID hit, the pandemic hit, it had to change how you interacted with your young men and what you had to
Literally
do.
the hardest thing I've ever done in my life.
Really?
Well, the first thing came from, and I won't go into the there's a lot of rules that prevented us from helping our guys while they were at home on their own. Not allowed to video monitor workouts and not, and safety and all this other stuff, which I totally get. But the problem is you got a bunch of dudes out there doing training anyway without any guidance.
Right.
And that was really hard for me. And we pushed and pushed and pushed and pushed at every level. It's not a university thing. It's above that. And,
right.
And so we really, really pushed. I mean, I was talking to strength coaches from all over the country, and we put together a paper, a dissertation, if you will, of just rules and why we need to be able to do these things for the health and safety of these guys. Anyway, boom, move past that, we get them back. All right, we're running 11 lift groups. 11 lift groups, okay? They're starting every 30 minutes, and we're rolling them around. Like, basically, God, we coach, well, it was like 11 hours or 10 hours or something like that. It was ridiculous. And we had tents set up out on the fields. We created these spaces because every space could only have a certain number of people in it. So we created individual spaces. And so because the weight room was a certain size, we were able to have a certain number of people in there. But we had 4 stations in there, and only 2 stations were live at a time. And everything was rotating, and we were rolling guys in 12 at a time. Just boom, 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 boom. When I tell you, on your feet, our staff. Coach Shaud Williams talking about just owning his space. Mason Baggett coming in, and this year because we had to do a little bit of those things after because we still had it wasn't as bad as the original COVID situation, but he came into a program in January that wasn't our normal original program, so he had to learn our original program modified on the fly, and our former staff Coach Kagi owned his space. Jeff Eaton, powerhouse of helping our guys mentally and emotionally, and Coach Davis, what he does with our injured guys is second to none in the country. And all these parts working together, right, and separate because we couldn't be, so we all had our own space, and I couldn't be there watching and guiding everybody. And when I tell you they absolutely own their space and dominate it, I mean, because without those guys, that doesn't happen.
And you came out of the other end successfully. I want to talk about that in just a moment. We got to take a break in here. It's our Pepsi Coaches Spotlight. He is Aaron Feld, strength and conditioning coordinator, if you will, but he coaches young men in how to keep their bodies in the ultimate to play, obviously, football. We'll talk more about it when we come back inside the Country Financial Studios on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
Harley Quinn and a collection of cons are on a search and destroy mission in the Suicide Squad. Now available at Redbox. Intelligence Officer Amanda Waller enlists the most dangerous imprisoned supervillains in the world to carry out a dangerous task in exchange for lighter sentences. Bloodsport, Peacemaker, King Shark, Harley Quinn, and others trek through the dangerous jungle to help save the world from the apocalypse. One wrong move and they're dead, whether at the hands of their opponents, a teammate, or Waller herself. Watch the Suicide Squad and make it a Redbox night. Visit redbox.com for all the ways to watch.
From the weight room to the classroom, on the field and off it, On Point proudly supports University of Oregon athletics because student athletes do so much more than bring us pride on game day. They bring our entire community together in Eugene and all across Oregon. So whether you're watching the game in the stadium, at home, or at your favorite local business, their success makes all of us stronger. On Point Community Credit Union. Join in. OnPointCU.com. Federally insured by NCUA. Equal housing opportunity.
Your home for Ducks football, the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
Okay, forest animals, kids are coming to the forest, and it's up to us to make their visit a good one. Sparrow, have you practiced the most popular bird songs for the year?
Of course.
Catchy. I like it. River, how's the temperature?
It's a refreshing 52 degrees, man.
I love it. Turtle.
He's not here yet, man.
He's late every morning. Okay. Squirrel.
The forest has been preparing just for you. To learn more about cool things to do in the forest, visit discovertheforest.org. Brought to you by the U.S. Forest Service and the Ad Council.
Tom has been a teacher for over 40 years. One day, I think one of the students had asked the question and he didn't remember the answer. And I also noticed that he was letting his class out earlier than they were supposed to let out. I was really starting to worry.
Levi and I talked about how it would change our lives, but he was there beside me.
When something feels different, it could be Alzheimer's. Now is the time to talk. Visit alz.org/our stories to learn more. A message from the Alzheimer's Association and the Ad Council.
Welcome back inside the Country Financial Studios. Jerry Allen Jorge and Coach Feld with us talking Ducks strength and conditioning and more than just strength and conditioning. We're talking about the mind and how much you help young athletes. Gosh, my glasses are fogging up.
I was just thinking you need some windshield wipers.
Love these. You just talked about the noise. You mentioned we were talking about all the stuff coming in and out, and you help athletes deal with the pressures of playing the sport they're playing and everything they have to do to compete at the highest level. And part of that is being able to handle everything that they have coming in. Talk about that a little bit.
Well, we don't teach these guys how to deal with sports at the highest level, elite level. It's about just general stress, general, like everything this is what I love about football, okay? Teaching a player how to be a great football player and teaching a young man how to be a better human and deal with life better, it's the same thing. I don't have to choose between what's best for you as a human being and what's best for our football team. It's the same thing.
That's interesting.
Better humans play better football, period. And so part of being a better human is handling stress, emotional stress, mental stress, like all those stresses, being able to handle that. But like, how do you do that, right? We follow a concept of neutrality, non-negativity. Basically, you create a bigger net positive response by removing negativity than you do from adding positivity. And we just try to teach these guys how to remove negativity and how to pivot and look at things that may seem negative on the front end, look at it from a different perspective, right? If you get thrown a curveball, a baseball pun, whatever, you get thrown a challenging situation, right? Instead of being distraught and upset about the challenge, think about how this challenge is going to prepare you to handle the next one or the next opportunity, or how this is going to apply directly to dealing with stress in a football game.
Wow.
And when you take that approach, false hype or fake hype or putting on a smiling face, fake it till you make it. I hate that. Fake it till you make it. Don't fake anything. Just be real. Take stuff on head on and understand that sometimes we blow things up bigger than they are. But if we can look at them for what they are, go to the facts is what we say. That's how we stay neutral. For example, 4th and 1. There's two mentalities, right? 4th and 1, if we don't get a stop, we lose. That's a negative mentality. But 4th and 1, we need to stop. That's not positive. That's not negative. That's the facts. 4th and 1, we need to stop. Now, go to the facts. How do we get the stop? See, that's what we're trying to do with neutrality, is get past the what and get to the how. We need a stop. How do we get a stop? This is the play call. This is my eye discipline. This is where my hands go. If this, then that. That's how I'm going to actually get the stop. Because I ask people all the time, what does being mad or angry or frustrated have to do with succeeding in the moment? You're upset about circumstance. The best way to not be upset is to win the circumstance or to beat that opportunity or go 1-0 in that moment. How do you do that? You got to put all the crap that doesn't help you win. Can you say crap on the radio?
Sure.
You got to put all the stuff that doesn't help you win out of the way and focus on the only thing that matters, and that's this play, this effort, technique, attitude, execution, period.
Yeah, it's interesting because you just talk about the positive and negative ways. I've seen some comments that you've made about when you first got here, it was as though the student athletes and football players, when they would come to the weight room, it was something that they had to do, something they got to do, versus being thought of as the process of winning, which to me is the positive side. The other can be looked at as negative, as I got to do it. This is a process of winning. And how long did it take you to kind of change that mindset in the team?
When we got to our first spring, it really started to change. My man, Tony Brooks James, I love him to death. Tony, if you're listening, I love you, bro. Did not want to do what we were asking him to do. He just didn't want to do it. And after spring ball, and he saw the growth and development of a lot of the guys around him, he came to me. We sat in the office. We had a great conversation. He said, I'm paraphrasing. All right, I want that. How do I get that? And boom. Next thing you know, you got a guy who who's toughing it out through strains, toughing it out through bumps and bruises, rolled ankle, whatever, and fighting. And guys saying, well, he's never done it like that before. And boom, fast forward, the dude's been playing ball ever since he left here. Yeah. He comes back and trains in the summers and stuff like that, and talk to him. He's gained the weight. He's doing all the things. And it started by seeing the success of the people around him. There's different people approach change differently. Wait and see. I'm gonna wait and see how it works. Some people are like, I'm in. Let's do it. Right? Some people are like, well, I'll try it. We'll see how it works. Everybody's different, but at the end of the day, when you start seeing, like, success leaves clues. When you start seeing people have success, you're like, well, how did they do that? And that's what and so that's what our mindset program, our mindset is the study and application of the behaviors required of success. That's what we do. We study success, figure out what successful people have in common, and we apply that to whether it's training, football, meetings, whatever.
I got to get him on Good Morning America as a motivational speaker. There's no doubt about it. Holy cow. Got me going. I'm afraid I'd hurt myself if I tried to do everything you're doing right now. I want to jump to today. I mean, strength and conditioning is so much more than just weight training. I mean, there's no doubt about it, and you've made that very clear. But
the weights guy.
Yeah, the weights guy. I look at you on game day, and sometimes I feel like you're like a traffic cop down there on the sidelines. making sure that players and coaches don't go the wrong way or that. Well, how do you handle it? Because you're like there's a bunch of stampeding cattle trying to get out on the field. You got to stop them.
So it's funny. A lot of strength coaches get their feelings hurt when they get called the get back guy. And to me, like I don't know when. I mean, no one calls me the get back guy as far as I know. Like I have a role. My role is to make sure Coach Cristobal is not on the field when he's not supposed to be, and make sure that he doesn't step on someone else who's trying to coach or get backed into by a ref. The cool thing is he's not fighting to get on the field. He's got an eye discipline. Every play he watches a specific detail, whether we're offense or defense. He has eye discipline, just like our players do. And he's not looking at where his feet are. My eye discipline is where his feet are. That's my job. Is he standing where he's supposed to be? Because he doesn't have time to think about that, right? So I just stick near him. The ref's backing down the back judge or whatever is backpedaling down the sideline or whatever, and I just bump him out of the way so he doesn't get stepped on. Because he's not paying attention to that. He's watching his key or whatever his assignment is. And so that's my assignment. Every single every coach on my staff has an assignment. We have front side, back side. If there's a pick six, somebody's got to be in the back corner to make sure the guys that are excited don't run down to the end zone without a helmet on and get a penalty, right? And it's not no one's mad. It's not a thing to be mad about. They're excited. If your players are not excited about other players scoring touchdowns or making big plays, you got bigger problems. So, yeah, is our sideline a spitting image of perfection? No, because high emotions, high excitement, that's the way it is. But that's why we exist on game day and why we're on the sideline on game day to help manage that without killing the vibe.
Wish I could be down there with you. I wish I could be a part of it.
I'd just get you. You'd move you out of the way.
Yeah, that's right.
I just think of that Ohio State game. I think it was Ohio State when the whole team near the end ran down to the corner, and you were like, "Oh, okay, I got to hurt some cats."
I'm not in good enough shape, so I sprinted like 80 yards, and I get that. And here's the thing: I yell all the time. This is the other thing. Like Coach Cristobal yells all the time. Like that's how we coach. So if you got to make a big deal about something, you got to yell out or you got to jump, whatever. So like I run down there and I'm like, come on guys, you got to go. And a lot of times I just put on a show for the officials because if they hear me telling them to go, like the ref's running down with a hand on the flag.
Oh yeah.
And I run by, I'm like, I got it. He takes the hand off the flag, but he keeps coming. And I get down, I was like, come on guys, gotta go. And I was like, you're about to get a penalty. And then Verone takes off and runs. And the truth is, if they hadn't turned and ran when they did, that was going to be a flag.
Yeah.
Like not jog or slowly move, but if they hadn't bolted, that was going to be a flag. And it's not their responsibility. Like, yes, we need to know situation, whatever, but like that's why we're there, to nudge people in the right direction.
Yeah.
Because you need that juice.
Yeah. Holy cow. That was some. Yeah, sometimes I have more fun watching you just work those guys on the sideline than watching the game. I'm just being honest.
I was so out of breath. And then, but see, then I'm like, because I have an assignment. I was like, oh, where's the head man? Where's the head man? And so, like, running over there to get to him and, like, I'm like, try not to breathe hard. I'm like,
yeah. The camera might be on me.
You got great relationships with the players. You ever have fun with guys like Kayvon Thibodeau? Does he know that you are the all-time sack leader at Homewood High School?
I don't know if I still am. Have we verified that?
Okay, I guess I need to go back and take a look. Maybe, but in 18 in a season, you got to go to a guy like that and say, I got some techniques I need to teach you. Be able to do some things.
I was so bad at football in college. Like it's like. That's the difference in the level of I was just like I was mediocre at best.
You played in a lot of games, deep snapper, SEC.
I also hold a record at one point as the most punt snaps in a single season. I'm not sure that's one you won.
No, you're right.
I think we could take a look and there you are.
Yeah.
Hey,
there you are.
You know, I just retired that suit 2 years ago. Hey, that's the 2005 Men's Warehouse special right there.
Oh my gosh!
I actually still have the vest. The vest of that suit is still in my locker right now.
I want to see it on you in a game.
I can't fit
into it. Coach, we could keep you for another 2 hours, but we're going to run out of time here. We've got to get to some player interviews. I can't thank you enough for spending time with us. You are a gentleman, and you really are a tremendous motivational speaker. You could lead a lot of people the right way.
Appreciate that, guys. Thanks for having me.
We'll get you back on again, too.
Awesome.
All right, we're going to take the break. Joey Mack's got some players coming up for you on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
This week's episode of the Mighty Oregon Podcast, presented by Oregon Community Credit Union, features our deep dive into one of the greatest plays in Oregon history, the Pit.
Kenny Wayne's going to score! Kenny Wayne is going to score!
A play that changed the course of two football programs and led to the Ducks becoming the powerhouse they are today. Make sure to go to Apple Podcasts or wherever you listen to podcasts and subscribe to the Mighty Oregon Podcast presented by Oregon Community Credit Union.
Ready to get back in the game? Great news. The movement experts at Proactive Physical Therapy Specialists can help you find relief and results and keep you off the sidelines. With 15 convenient locations across Portland, contact Proactive Physical Therapy Specialists today at proactivepts.com to see a physical therapist. Proactive Physical Therapy Specialists, a proud partner of Oregon Athletics and trusted choice for keeping Duck fans in the game.
The ins and outs of all things Ducks. This is Oregon football from Learfield.
Okay, man, this is your time. Maybe you didn't choose this, but you're here now. You're going to go out there and be an all-star caregiver. Cook, clean, be there emotionally and physically. You got to dig deeper. Drive them to physical therapy, doctor's appointments, because that's what caregivers do. Don't give up. Show the world that you're tougher than tough.
Caregiving is tougher than tough. Find the care guides you need at aarp.org/caregiving. Brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
To some, the sound of a baby babbling doesn't mean much, but that's not true. They're testing out vowels and consonants and trying different sounds. And by 12 months, their babbling is beginning to take on meaning, especially if there's no babbling at all. Little to no babbling by 12 months or later is just one of the possible signs of autism in children. Learn more at autismspeaks.org. Brought to you by Autism Speaks and the Ad Council.
Welcome back to the show, Country Financial Studios. Jerry, Jorgie, and Joey. And I tell you what, I love every one of the coaches that we've had an opportunity to speak with. They're just, every one of them brings something different. But Aaron Feld is just a whole nother ballgame.
This chair is really warm. I think they always say like strength coaches, and you can just tell from his energy they run warm. I can feel that, like quite literally sitting here right now, guys.
So much more than strength and conditioning. I mean, that's a very small part of his title.
Well, and look, I mean, he said it, like the 1-0 process is not just, fluff. Like the Ducks aren't just saying that. That's a real thing. And that's kind of what we're going to start with today.
I'm looking forward to this.
So talking about rivalry week, we know Oregon, Washington. Okay, let's talk about it. But sometimes there's impacts off the field that you don't even realize. Like maybe when the #1 recruit in the country was visiting Autzen Stadium in 2018 when Oregon beat Washington. Kayvon Thibodeau talking about that.
Just seeing the atmosphere and the kind of like that relentless passion that they had to win the overtime, and they just kept fighting. So knowing that that's what they did before us, we just got to keep one-upping it and keep it going.
How different it could have been had the Ducks not won that game and maybe KT wasn't there for that experience. A great place to start. Kayvon Thibodeau also talking about this Oregon-Washington rivalry.
Knowing that there's real hate in people's hearts for this game and for us, so just being able to go there and kind of quiet down the crowd and really be able to play and really put it out there, you kind of feel it. That's kind of like why we play, for the rivalries, for the big game. So, just being able to show what we got and put up a fight is going to be fun.
You play for the big games. Travis Dye echoed those sentiments. This one does feel a little bit different for the Oregon running back.
You can't really help it, but, this game, it means a lot to me and this team and this town, this state. It's just, like you said, it's not really different. It's just like the feeling is, there's just something, it's kind of different, you know what I mean? The feeling is just different, but this is a very exciting game. It's always a great one. Washington's a great team. They have a good squad out there, and it's going to be really fun to play against.
Similar to what Coach Feld said, you acknowledge it and then you move forward. And I think that's what the Ducks are doing with this process in this rivalry week, because there is a lot of noise at the college football playoff rankings. Get to that in a second, because Ron McKinley was talking about how, you acknowledge that this is a big game, but you don't want to overhype it either.
For me, and being an older guy who's already been there, who's played when it was raining and the stakes were high and all of that, it's another game. You know what I mean? Of course, it's a rivalry. People are going to make it bigger than what it is, but at the end of the day, it's football. So going in, making sure we know what we need to do, handling business and get back on that plane and just doing our job. That's just what it comes down to.
Handling business. There's that 1-0 process. Anthony Brown now to the offensive side of the ball. Ducks are #4 in the college football playoff rankings. They can be excited about it, but No one cares what the rankings are in the beginning of November. They care what they are come December, and they care what they are come January. And Anthony Brown knows that.
I don't know if you talked to Coach Cristobal yet, but just simply working on our 1-0 process, worrying about what's right in front of us, and not worrying about down the road.
Is it hard to do that? I mean,
because we're all human.
Yeah, obviously it's hard to do, but with a team like this, I feel like we're mentally locked in and mature enough to stay focused and worry about what we can control right here and in the now and in the present. So I think we'll be fine with that.
That's why the Ducks really and players talk all the time about how Anthony Brown's a great leader for this team. And Kayvon Thibodeau staying focused.
I mean, we've talked about a lot that like every team at this point kind of holds their own destiny. So as long as we just keep going 1-0, I feel like, it'll be out of our hands at that point.
1-0, baby. 1-0. Verone McKinley, what's the importance of not looking ahead, huh?
Super important. There's a lot of noise outside of this, people talking, rankings, all of this stuff. At the end of the day, you got to focus on the task at hand, and that is Washington this week, and just keep stacking bricks. We're trying to build, like I said earlier in the year, we're trying to build a mansion, and to build that mansion, we got to keep stacking bricks. So one game at a time, one practice at a time, one meeting at a time, and we'll let the rest handle itself.
Ducks trying to build that mansion. I love that quote from Verone McKinley, guys. You're seeing a theme here. The Ducks recognize that there's some big things ahead of them, but that's the thing. Got to focus on what's right in front of you. Otherwise, it does get a little bit overwhelming. We also know one thing that comes with rivalry games, a lot of emotions. We've talked a lot about those emotions on our broadcast. The guys see it. The guys know it. Kayvon Thibodeau was asked about, in these games, do you want to play with a lot of emotion?
Well, me personally, I'm not a guy who needs to play with anger or rage or loudness. I like to stay poised. I like to stay calm. So for me, I like to tell guys, get hype when you need to, but be able to breathe and be able to think and be able to process what's going on in front of you so that you're not just playing off raw emotion. You can kind of fine-tune it and you know how to really work it.
Is there another guy on the team or a couple guys who you think do a really good job of that?
I mean, Verone, he does a great job. Jeffrey, he's really done a great job just echoing it and kind of being that leader that we need to step up and kind of take control. And Noah, obviously, he's the guy who really lays it out on the field. So just seeing his passion and being able to match that just, brings it all together.
Just outlining about half the defense there with the way that the Ducks approach their mentality. And Travis Dye was talking about that, too. I mean, this is a guy who's been in a lot of big games in his career. How do you handle those emotions?
Yeah, I think it's very important, just keep a level head. We're here to play football. We're not here to, talk or anything like that. That's all I, think about, feel about this game. On the field, I get it. It gets heated. You chip. But, when it's off the field, you should just be working on your craft, and that's about it.
And then the next thing from TJ Bass, he was talking about how guys handle those emotions differently, and I loved his approach to that question here.
I mean, some people have, they have more outgoing personalities. I would say I'm someone that's probably a little bit more on the quiet side. But obviously I get pumped up as well, just in my own way. But obviously you don't want to get too high, you don't want to get too low, you want to be even keeled. So I think that's a big thing for me is I need to make sure I'm even keeled through it all.
A lot of the Ducks talking about how you handle the 1-0 process, you handle success, and clearly the Ducks know how to handle that success. So we got more coming up. Scouting report on Washington in a moment, Jerry.
All right, I love the theme of what these guys are talking about. Let's go away, come back with more on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
Harley Quinn and a collection of cons are on a search and destroy mission in the Suicide Squad. Now available at Redbox. Intelligence Officer Amanda Waller enlists the most dangerous imprisoned supervillains in the world to carry out a dangerous task in exchange for lighter sentences. Bloodsport, Peacemaker, King Shark, Harley Quinn, and others trek through the dangerous jungle to help save the world from the apocalypse. One wrong move and they're dead, whether at the hands of their opponents, a teammate, or Waller herself. Watch the Suicide Squad and make it a Redbox night. Visit redbox.com for all the ways to watch.
From the weight room to the classroom, on the field and off it, On Point proudly supports University of Oregon athletics because student athletes do so much more than bring us pride on game day. They bring our entire community together in Eugene and all across Oregon. So whether you're watching the game in the stadium, at home, or at your favorite local business, their success makes all of us stronger. On Point Community Credit Union. Join in. OnPointCU.com. Federally insured by NCUA. Equal housing opportunity.
More Jerry, Jorgie, and Joey after this timeout. You're listening to the Oregon Football Coaches Show on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
It's 4 a.m., Monday, and you're literally sucking baby snot through a tube because she's congested. Man, that's love.
And if you love her that much, love her enough to make sure she's buckled in the right car seat. To make sure your child's in the right seat for their age and size, visit nhtsa.gov/the right seat. Show them you love them. Keep them safe. Visit nhtsa.gov/the right seat. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
America, your children have an amazing superpower. They can help save lives by not having play dates. That's right. By replacing get-togethers with virtual play dates and video chats, they can help slow the evil spread of germs. And if your superheroes do go outside, make sure they continue their superhero wing by staying 6 feet away from others to protect everyone in America land. Find out more at coronavirus.gov. A message from the CDC and the Ad Council.
Welcome back inside our Country Financial Studios. Jerry Jorge and Joy Mack, who's got more of the guys to tell us about what they're thinking about this week.
Today, Anthony Brown, a finalist for the Johnny Unitas Golden Arm Award, recognizes the best upperclassman quarterback in the country. He's one of 10 finalists for that award, and Travis Dye was talking about him this week.
Anthony Brown is one of the hardest workers on this team. You know, he's the first one in here, he's the last one to leave. You know, he works on his craft every single day. And, you know, to see him getting better every single week, you know, it's rightfully so because he works on it.
He's completing nearly 80% of his passes in the last 2 weeks, which is pretty darn impressive. Travis Dye next, talking about the guy running behind him. 18.1 yards per carry for Byron Cardwell. He's pretty good, huh, Travis?
No, he's a very patient runner, and he runs really well, and he's very smart. And so, you know, coaching him wasn't hard at all for Mastro or any of the other older guys. So it was just, it was almost like second nature for him. You know, it came so easy. He's a really bright guy, and he has a really bright future ahead of him.
Now let's hear from the young man himself. Byron Cardwell, his first performance that people are going to remember for over 100 yards. Pretty fun, huh?
Oh, man, overall, it was a great performance. I mean, it's my first time getting a lot of action out there. I just feel like I took advantage of my opportunities, and I'm just thankful just to be out there and just have fun and doing what I do.
How about just the even-keeled personality of that young man? And he was asked about what his best attributes are. It might surprise you because he surprises some people, apparently.
I think his attribute would probably be just my speed. A lot of guys don't think I have it just because of my size or my being able to wiggle. So I would say those two are big, but I mean overall, I mean I'm pretty well-rounded. I just say I catch a lot of defenders off with my speed.
I have a feeling that he's going to catch a lot less defenders off guard here moving forward with the way that he's been performing. He was also asked about his running back coach. I thought this was cool talking about Coach Mastro.
Yeah, key things is staying low, having the velocity of your fit, and his saying is if you can't block, then you can't get the rock. So I mean, we all take pride in that. We all have fun with it, and we just go out there and do what we do.
Pass protection is one of the biggest things that a young running back has to improve on, and, well, he must be blocking pretty well because he's been getting the rock, huh? Now to the defensive side of things, Jamal Hill was talking this week about a number of different guys that went down in the secondary. One of them, Davon David. Looks like Duck's getting him back. That's good news, Jamal Hill says.
Damon's coming along great, man. He's learning and growing every day. It's crazy, like, seeing, like, who he was when he first got here and who he is now, like, he's a great person off the field, and then, like, everything he used off the field, it helped him grow in football, so it's great to see.
Next, Verone McKinley was asked about Jeffrey Bossa, a guy who's moved from the secondary to linebacker, and then suddenly after they were thin at linebacker, then last week they were thin at safety, and maybe it was like, well, I guess Bossa could go back and play more safety. And the point is the Ducks' depth in the secondary got a little bit tested, but Verone McKinley is still pretty impressed with what Jeffrey Bossa's done moving to linebacker.
I told him the same thing today. I said, you just look more comfortable at it. And he's been building week after week after week, and now he's understanding where he needs to fit, how to play off of people, and he's playing fast and physical. And the thing is, he knows what he's doing, which allows him to play faster. And, of course, you know, as a younger guy, things are going fast and you're trying to adjust, but now he's getting into the rhythm of where he sees it, he just goes. He doesn't have to think about it. So he's just getting better, and he's been doing a good job at practice as well as carrying his games over into practice and continuing to get better. So that's what I've seen.
McKinley on Jeffrey Bossa there. And then finally, one guy that got pressed into duty was Lucas Nolan, who took scout team reps for the Ducks this past week. But Verone McKinley was pretty impressed with him stepping in and playing some good football for the Ducks.
Lucas is in the same meetings we're in, and when he went out there, he wasn't worried. He knew exactly what he was doing, and it was all about him doing his job. You don't need to be Superman. You don't need to get in the phone booth and change or do anything like that. Go in, do your job, and the rest will handle itself. Tackle, play fast, and play physical. Something I've been taught since I was a kid. Just play fast and play physical and do your job, and the rest will handle itself.
Play fast, play physical. More keys to a victory over Washington when we come back.
All right, we're not done yet. We will be right back to wrap it up on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
When might you be buzzed? When you suddenly love everything.
You guys, I love this song. I love these nachos. I love our kickball league. Ugh! I love this guy. What's your name? You know what I'd love? A ride when it's time to head out.
If you see a buzzed warning sign, call for a ride when it's time to go home. Buzz driving is drunk driving. A message from NHTSA and the Ad Council.
I love your car. Is this real leather?
Hey, so what's a great way to spread awareness that driving high is illegal everywhere? A catchy song, of course.
You can run, but you can't drive high. You can run, but you can't drive high.
Friendly reminder, don't drive high. If you feel different, you drive different. Brought to you by NHTSA and the Ad Council.
Jill, why don't you tell the class what you did this weekend?
Well, my dad and I went in search of some magical minnows and found a zillion of them in the stream from our lookout rock. Then my sister and I escaped from an evil slug king and went back to my super twig fort for safety. Then we told stories till it got dark, and the Big Dipper led us all the way home.
Wow. Where were you, Jill?
We went to the forest. It's not that far away.
Ask your parents to take you and your friends to the forest this week. It's closer than you think. Check out discovertheforest.org. Brought to you by the U.S. Forest Service and the Ad Council.
If a natural disaster comes knocking, how prepared is your family? You can't just close the door on earthquakes, floods, or hurricanes and hope they go away. That's why it's important to make a plan now. Ready.gov/plan has the tools and tips you need to prepare your family for an emergency. So if disaster shows up at your doorstep, you'll be ready. Visit ready.gov/plan and make a plan today. Brought to you by FEMA and the Ad Council.
Welcome back to the show. Welcome back to Joey Mack with more of our Duck players tonight.
Yeah, talking about a scouting report on the Huskies here in a moment. But, man, one thing that really stuck out to me at practice on Tuesday was how competitive the scout team was against the ones and the twos for the Ducks. And Ron McKinley had some good things to say about the scout team.
We want practice to be harder than the game. So for us to have such a competitive spirit and the scout team coming at us, and, of course, the offense, we do ones-on-ones and twos-on-twos, and that just makes us all better, and it helps them get better as well, because you see guys go down and some of them may have to get plugged in, and then just for us, I mean, it makes it difficult for us. We see things harder, so when we see it in the game, it's like it's easy.
One of those guys did have to get plugged in, as we mentioned, with Lucas Nolan. And the scout team, I'll tell you guys, it was intense at practice on Tuesday. It was a lot of fun to see. Continuing with Ron McKinley, scouting report. What does he see from Washington?
Physical team, want to establish the run, and then, of course, they have playmakers at receiver. System's been kind of the same as it's always been, but they have a couple good running backs, and the quarterback, whenever he's on, he's hot. So just got to make sure we do our job. That's what it comes down to. Be physical, play fast, and we'll be fine.
Now to the Duck offense and looking at the Washington defense. Anthony Brown talking about the Huskies.
Really good DBs. One of the top passing defenses in the country. Very physical, and they play really, really hard. So just got to create matchup. I would say dysfunction. I don't know. And just execute when we get there. It's going to be hard because it's a rivalry game, but it's what we live for.
What we live for. And lastly, Travis Dye giving his scouting report on the Huskies in this rivalry matchup.
Yeah, their defense is, they fly around the ball everywhere. They're very physical and they can tackle really well. They're just always a great team, and they always have a stacked defense with a great set of linebackers. So, it's no surprise there this year again. So it's going to be a great matchup.
There you go. Travis Dye, Anthony Brown, Ron McKinley, Jamal Hill, Kayvon Thibodeau.
Yeah, if you're a Duck football fan, or if you're a football fan in general, you've got to love this Saturday's game. It's a team in Washington that has a chance to take down Oregon's opportunity to go where they want to go. I mean, it's going to be a headbanger.
Yeah, and all of a sudden, Washington's beginning to win those close games here in the last couple.
Yeah.
And like they said, if Dylan Morris gets on any type of roll, watch out. These two teams are really good teams. I think Washington's a little underrated, but at the same time, these two going together and the big target on Oregon's back, Joey, it's going to be a great game.
I'm excited. Anytime it's a rivalry game, it's always a little extra fun.
It's going to be wet, too. 2:30 pregame show, 4:30 kickoff. We'll talk to you Saturday.
I'm out of here.
This has been the Oregon Football Coaches Show on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield. Tonight's broadcast is brought to you by Country Financial Insurance. Protect what matters. And by Pepsi and Bigfoot Beverages. Go Ducks. Drink Pepsi. The preceding has been a Learfield presentation of the Oregon Sports Network.